He's pure propaganda, this man. He literally is pure propaganda. And I was saying before, I can understand why people would vote Trump is because these people are the same fucking people who lost their jobs. They watched their factories close up. These are the same people who watch their fucking kids get addicted to drugs. These are the same people who fucking watch their fucking country collapse in front of them. They don't know what to do. They're fucking afraid. I can see why they would vote for fucking Trump. But it's just terrible that they're spewing this story now saying that Russia's meddling into the elections now. It's fucking crazy. Why I don't understand why is no one just said no. I wish this guy would just turn around. Anyone would just say, "Look, Chris, really quick, I just want to say this. You're full of shit, Chris. You, your brother, everybody who works in this fucking network. Same with Fox. Same with MSNBC. All you are fucking propaganda. That's all you guys are. But no one wants to say that to them. No one wants to say. No one even wants to say their own opinions." I can get in trouble for saying this shit. I don't care. You can disagree with me. I don't give a fuck. What are you canceling? I have nothing. I have nothing to take. It's just nuts how we're giving these two choices to go in on fucking election day. We're literally at two pedophiles running. And the most important thing that we learned from COVID-19 was how flawed our healthcare system was. But now we have two candidates. It's funny. We have kids who went down to that protest. We have kids who will say that we need universal health care. We need universal health care, absolutely. But we can't have Trump in office. Okay, then how do you feel about the fact that Biden said that if he gets a bill saying anything about universal health care, he's going to veto it? Yeah, well, but we need to get Trump out. That doesn't answer the fucking question. What are you going to do? Well, Biden, we can be, with Biden, we can fucking, we can try. You can try what? That's what this election is based on right now. This election is based off the chance that you can change someone. That's what that's what people are voting for Biden on. That they think they have more of a possibility of reasoning with him. Instead of voting for someone which they don't have to try to talk down to and try to reason with. Or they have to fucking protest in the streets to get their point across. They don't have to do any of that. That would a person who we all thought was Sanders. But now that's what this election's heading. And voting for Biden, we're actually voting for 3 presidents this election. No one's saying it. I'll be the first person to say it. We're voting for 3 presidents. We're voting for Donald Trump, we're voting for Joe Biden, and we're voting for the future president with his VP. Now, all of you who agree that Joe Biden has dementia. And if you can't see that, I'm sorry. Again, your ignorance and your biasness is showing, and you just failed to see what's wrong with you because of your hatred of Trump, and you failed to see the problem at hand here. This man's 78 years old. He's not doing 2 terms. He's not doing 8 years. He might not do 1. He's going to do 2 years, and then his mental health is going to decline. But instead of they're going to say, but then they're going to manipulate it to where he's doing this out of the good grace of his heart, and this is what's best for America. And it's going to be someone like Kamala Harris. And they're going to do this so they can have their first woman president. And that's the same thing. It's the same thing with Hillary Clinton, but just under another guise. They're going to run Kamala Harris. That fucking bitch locked up half the fucking black youth in California and didn't care. And doesn't care. And that's what we're running against. Look at the fucking debates with Tulsi Gabbard at the DNC and watch her destroy her whole career in 8 minutes in one question. In one question, Kamala Harris's career. Why would we want her? If people want her, she'd still be in there. Who are you going to pick? You're not going to pick Nina Turner, because Nina Turner actually stands for something. That's a real progressive, but they're not going to fucking pick her because she didn't want to play ball, and fucking Bernie Sanders turned his fucking back on her. That's a real candidate that they should have fucking had, Nina Turner, but they're not going to do it. They're not. And now we have to put up with this fucking shit. And yes, I don't buy this for 1 second. I don't. If you believe that the Patriot Act is unconstitutional and illegal, and you believe that contact tracing isn't, then there's something wrong with you. I'm sorry, there's something wrong with you. If you're a kid if you're someone that spews the Patriot Act is bad, the government is collecting and storing all of our data, You believe Edward Snowden should be fucking free. He shouldn't be labeled as a fucking traitor and fucking risk coming back. He should be allowed back here. You believe in all that, but you believe contact tracing is something good. There's something wrong with you. That's how science is manipulating you. It's fake science with fake news. Science can be manipulated at the end of the day because you want to know why the government funds it. The government decides at the end of the day what can and cannot come out because they fucking fund the projects. That's how it works. That's how science can be manipulated by money, by greed. It's not that they can really make science favor their opinions, or they just don't put the data out at all. That can, I guess, contradict their point. And now it's fun. Everything's happening in November. What's happening in November? We might have a vaccine by November, or everything might lock down by November. We might not have. We might be a second wave in November. What's happening in November? Election. You really think in your heart of hearts, if this was an election year and Donald Trump wasn't president, we'd be locked down right now? How no one's talking about this? There's a chance that this actually did escape from a lab. And Dr. Fauci and the U.S. government were fucking funding these labs in Wuhan from like 2014 to 2017 in present day now. And that's why Xi Jinping and the United States government don't want to admit that. And how fucking, it's funny now how when Trump talks about, yeah, I want to take American jobs, I want to bring jobs back to America. What's wrong with that? What's wrong? What is wrong with that? So it's fine that we're going to use slave labor now, right? We're going to use fucking slave labor. We're going to use Chinese citizens paying them 25 cents an hour for that, to make that iPhone that you're using right now to record me.
Well, you bought this.
That's what I'm saying. But you don't think fucking people in politics have fucking financial ties into these companies in China, and how they actually don't want these jobs to come back because they're going to lose money? You think these financial consulting firms are going to lose money? These businesses are going to lose money? They have their own interests involved. But no, they have a D next to their name. They have an R next to their name, man. They're for us. These are the same people that fucking told you JFK got shot by a bullet that had feet.
That's right.
It's like, and now you buy this. Look at this fucking guy. This guy said, if you believe that guy, when they remember the big spectacle they put of when he left his basement, he was like, I haven't left my basement in 3 weeks. I haven't left my basement in 3 weeks. You know, I'm so distant. I miss my wife. I miss my kids. That and that. Do you really think that was the first time that man left his basement? As a human being, you really think he left? Well, if you do, here's how I'm about to prove you wrong. He got caught being outside with his wife, another guy, and a contractor while he had COVID-19. He was outside talking to his contractor about remodeling that's going to be done on his house. Regular guy was riding his bike, saw him, and was like, wait a minute, aren't you fucking Chris Cuomo? Like, aren't you the guy telling everyone they should be locked down right now? I'm like, and don't you have COVID-19? Shouldn't you be in your house right now? The guy, Cuomo, basically, in mile of the way, said, go fuck yourself. He's like, what do you know? And then that fucking Tucker Carlson brought that guy on. And no one said anything about Chris Cuomo. And he won't come out and say that, me coming out of my basement, that video of me coming out of my basement was full of shit. Full of shit. I lied. We did it for views. If he said that, I would probably watch him, because at least he'd be an honest prick, instead of him just being a prick that I think he is. But now it's just worse. I'm waiting for this fucking pizza to come, but it's good. This is killing time, but it's terrible. Josh, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, if anything, this is the primary spark. I think it's going to, make the actual push for third and fourth parties. Okay. It's going to be kind of like in how they do it in other countries. They want us to be more like Europe. Europe, they have dozens of freaking
7-8 parties.
7-8 parties. They have plenty of parties in freaking Europe. So and that's how you do it. No one half of the because a lot of people they vote based on what, like you said, lesser to evils. But
emotion.
And emotion. Yeah. And emotion too. Like they don't want to be left out of they don't want to have their vote wasted with a third party.
They
So
want to remain relevant.
yeah, so that's basically it. This is the primary. This is the cause. So if there's anything that's good that's coming out of either part, either candidate or being there that is not good choices, it's that third party is going to be.
Oh, will you be voting?
Huh?
Will you be voting?
I don't know. I'm really thinking about it. Like, you can always vote, like you say, you can always vote for your conscience. So you can always vote for, write-in, who you think should be president, stuff like that. At least you didn't waste it. People say you're wasting vote if you vote for a third party, but no. That's the purpose of voting is to make your voice heard, not to go online with everyone else.
Now, can I ask you a question? So, did you hear about? I guess I'm going to tell you something, and then I'm going to ask your opinion on it. So basically, there was I think it was earlier this year. You know how they're doing mail-in votes now?
Yeah.
So this county, I believe, was in Jersey or Pennsylvania. They found out it was rigged. Like the Democratic county, literally people they found baskets of mail-in votes,
Yeah.
and they found out that one guy was literally sitting there. The guy was literally sitting there and writing in names of people. He was like sitting in a desk in his office, had the the voting ballots, and just wrote fake names.
Yeah.
They got caught doing this.
Yeah.
So either way, it's all rigged. Either if it's by a machine, because people can get into the app and they can just change the votes, or by mail, they can just burn them.
What's funny about that is that it's gonna be it could be either way. They're gonna say, oh, the Democrats rigged it or the Republicans rigged it. So it's all just a fucking it's a mess. It's a mess. It really is a mess. That's why we need we need young kids to really get out there and take politics more seriously than we have in the past. Because this is what happens when you get congressmen and senators that have been in freaking office for like 40, 50 years. The status quo remains the same. Because young people for the longest time are like, we want to change. We want to amend rules to like the electoral college and popular votes and the things of gerrymandering. This is all the work of those people who have been in politics since the post-Civil War, civil rights era. So that's what needs to change. I think you need to get more younger people in, not these older, not these like 70-year-old congressmen.
I guess the one thing, my biggest gripe with those situations is I feel like young people now are more interested in politics than I would say that since like the 60s.
Yeah, especially now, especially this particular election.
Exactly. But I feel like it's like, even if you had a candidate, like if we had if you had like someone like Bernie who had the largest grassroots campaign ever.
Yeah.
Now, what happens when you have that person and you get him elected, but now there's a system that's systematically fighting against him? What do? It's like, what do you do when you have a candidate that can almost get to the finish line, but he's going to be cheated out of the race? So it's just we did everything right. I'm saying, like, even if we get a third party, we create a third party. Technically, the U.S. is one party. The Democrats and Republicans are all the same shit.
Yeah, basically.
So let's just say we have someone we like, biggest grassroots campaign ever. We get them to the election stage, debate stage, but then once it comes to vote, it's going to just be rigged.
Yeah, the oligarchs can't let you change the status quo because they lose control.
Exactly. So what's the answer to that? And some people say, well, that's when we just all go out in the streets with fucking guns in them and force change.
That's the thing. That's exactly what they want. They want people to do anarchy.
But that's not anarchy, though. I would say that's revolution.
But like we've seen before, like protests and all types of movements will always, especially if it's nothing to think, it will always be, what do you call it? Derailed in some way. I guess everyone has their own agenda.
True. I guess the biggest difference we would say, like, between my definition between anarchy and a revolution would be anarchy. There's just total chaos. Mm-hmm. Basically, anarchy is you destroy whatever system exists and you just leave it. That's it. It's just pure anarchy. Mm-hmm. But a revolution is you destroy the system, but you have a government body that's ready to replace it. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. It's like the same thing in Venezuela, how they have, what's his name, Maduro? No, Maduro's the president of Venezuela. Who's the guy that the U.S. recognizes as the president, even though there wasn't an election and he didn't win?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's a whole fucking that's a whole nother can of worms that they fucking try to have a coup in Venezuela and they brush that shit under the rug. Leave that country alone. Let them figure out what the fuck's going on for themselves.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. It's either on either side. It's no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Let's just say, okay, there was a revolution. We would need like these are the candidates, like these are the politicians we want to be in charge of the country. Let's say Bernie, or so let's just take the progressive movement for example. That's like a revolution, but I feel like if there's just like anarchy, like looting and rioting, like pillaging, there's no body. That's always going to happen in a sense, but that's always going to be a small nugget.
You think so?
Yeah, because people. Yeah, it depends. Because I feel like at the end of the day, there's really no such thing as anarchy. Because I feel like at the end of the day, if we just say all the lights went out, right? There's no power, no government, no nothing.
Humanity will always return.
Not that humanity will always return. Okay, let's just say it's like a Mad Max world.
Yeah.
There's no rules. There's no government body.
Yeah, might makes right in that world.
Yeah, but then now there's going to be someone that creates their own rules. It's like we're going to be very primal. We're going to reverse back to tribes. Mm-hmm. So now the bigger tribe is just going to control the little tribe. Mm-hmm. And then, so basically it's like, look at The Walking Dead. You watch The Walking Dead?
I've seen the first and second season.
Okay, so basically it's like, for example, in the world itself, mm-hmm. there's no rules.
Yeah.
Because there's zombie apocalypse. Yeah. But then, as these small groups venture out and try to survive, they run into bigger groups who establish their own rules in this lawless society. Mm. So is that technically anarchy? If you're under rules by a bigger tribe. But even though the world itself is total chaos, but then you run into a group that establishes their own rules, is it still anarchy? Or is you're just falling under the rules of a bigger tribe? Because that's what happens.
Well, the reason why it's anarchy is because for that to happen, for us to get into, I guess, tribes again, which is defeating the progress we've made, so far, and that's what I fear happening, that we're going to be too tribal and people are going to start separating, and that defeats the whole idea of, all us being together. But people, like, in that case, it's going to be things like wars and subjugation of other tribes. Like you said, there's going to be groups of people, taking over smaller groups, right? And that's never right, like.
But is that considered, I guess the thing is that how you just said, like, how there's always going to be groups controlling the other groups? Yeah. Now, would you label that as anarchy? Or would you just label that as, like a primitive, like, colonialism?
I think it is human nature for that to, occur of people subjugating people, because it happens. I mean, look at history, right? Just now in our more recent society of humanity, we've been able to have democracy and stuff like that in societies where we're generally civil with each other. But not too long ago, you still had people, maybe like 1,000 years ago, if not sooner, they had tribes of people still going to war with each other, still going to war. So it's like I guess the one thing that just always bothers me,
I always thought of like when people say anarchy, yeah. Like it's literally every man for himself.
It's like in the zombie apocalypse, yeah, probably. But in a case like this, what's going on now, no, it's always going to be people who agree with you,
Yeah,
who you're more, not even just who you agree with, who you're more like.
I guess
it's a self-preservation thing amongst humans.
Yes,
we're not meant to be alone.
We're not meant to be alone, and human beings are always going to hold like the idea of self-preservation near and dear to them. Mm-hmm. But I guess the cycle is there's a government mm-hmm. or a body of authority,
yeah,
some type of authority figure. Then the authority figure is overthrown either by a planned revolution or just by pure chaos.
Yeah.
And then what happens, either that it stumbles into chaos for a little bit and then a new body of authority takes over and reestablishes society again, and then the cycle repeats.
Yeah.
Or instead of the anarchy happening, it's a revolution. Mm-hmm. And then once the old authority is gone, it's replaced by a new authority.
But then the cycle is always going to continue.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Either way. So is there is, so does anarchy truly exist? Because at the end of the day, once a group encounters another group, whoever wins, whoever loses is going to be under the control of the other group.
Yeah, I think that's the pizza or whatever. It might be. I smell something because you can smell it too, right?
It smells like something's burning.
He just hit the bowl.
Oh shit!
It's definitely that.
It was definitely that.
Smell that and you smell it.
Yeah, I think it is.
It smells like the church. A little bit.
No, it's that. It's the weed. No, but I guess my thing is, I just feel like if there's no government,
Yeah.
and it was just like people really got together in small groups, like 10 to 20 people.
It's gonna be way more than that over time.
And that's what I'm saying. And then eventually, but let's just say if you're that group, and then you run into a group of like a few thousand people, and basically they say to you, "Hey, you join us, we'll feed you, protect you. These are the rules. If not, we'll just kill you."
Yeah, I think that is anarchy. I mean, what is the definition of anarchy?
What
is the actual definition?
No existing body of law.
That's what that means.
Yes, and now these people are creating but it's not backed up by it's not backed up with any type of legality to it. It's just more of rules enforced by brute strength.
Yeah.
But I feel like the underlying principle is still the same, how rules are still being established in a world that's just chaotic.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's, anarchy, by the definition, is a state of disorder due to absence or non-recognition of authority. So
what happens if I create like a miniature authority in that chaotic state?
But then there's always going to be leaders in these situations.
That's what I'm saying.
You're trying to do philosophy. Does anarchy truly exist, or is it just a part of nature?
Is it a part of nature, or is it just what? At the end of the day, I feel like controlled anarchy. Like at the end of the day, it's a revolution.
Yeah, controlled anarchy, but you can't have control. It's just is what it is, because if you're let's say a part of a group that wants to get rid of the government, right? You're just the other authority. You're just the other authorities. It's kind of redundant, right?
True.
Right? You want to change the system, yeah, sure. But I guess I get you kind of point when we say anarchy doesn't exist. Like the whole,
cycle,
the cycle or whatever, the whole, question of does it really exist if it's a part of nature the cycles to come. Times always must and will change.
Like if the lights,
you can't do the same thing forever.
So let's just say if it was just there was like an apocalypse that just happened, end of the world.
Yeah.
But human beings are still left.
Mm-hmm.
We revert back to hunter gatherers.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it'll take a long time, society might get back to like this, or might even be better. It might have actually prospered because of something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't ever feel like there's going to be a point where it just descends into chaos and just flatlines there. I think eventually it's always gonna have a pulse. It's always gonna be very faint.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I feel like it's just gonna rejuvenate. It's gonna come back.
Yeah. I believe in cycles too of things, chaos. Good times make weak men. That whole thing.
Yeah.
It's true. It's like we get too comfortable in society. We don't actively try to avoid those things. We get way too comfortable.
It's upsetting because a part of me, I think. I feel like I've been very blessed the fact that I grew up in New York.
Why?
One thing is the diversity.
Okay. Because
it's just you're just indulging other cultures. You're meeting kids that don't look like you, that come from all over the world. And it's just I like that. And it's also how like everything's open and there's a lot of people around. Like it's like you're always. If I feel like living in New York, it's like you're always in a party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe.
And you always can walk out and you always come back, but you're always still going.
Yeah.
But the one thing I always wish I kind of lived in the South, or just like I lived in a ranch, or just learn how to fish, learn how to hunt. At least one thing. I don't know. I'm not really learn how to hunt. Oh, maybe. I don't know. But just learn how to make my own food, learn how to be resourceful, like how to be like a craftsman, learn, just like tend to a crop or like, something like that, you know what I mean? Become.
Who says you can't do that? What do you call it? In New York, I think we have too much of things associated with culture rather than just being a normal human.
Agreed.
Like, oh, I like, hunt and I like hunting. That's a redneck thing to do or whatever. No, it's not. It's a human thing to do. You know what I mean? I like going to yoga. That's not a Yankee thing to do. That's for your body. That's your health. You know what I'm saying? It's like we separate things too much. We're supposed to be, like you said, with the whole diversity thing, right? You learn more from having that opportunity to meet people from other cultures, to be more well versed in the world, and by doing that, by separating all these activities and or customs, it separates us even more.
Yeah, I agree. It's just it's just sad to me personally because I know I always wanted to. I always wish I lived like in the Viking era.
No, you don't.
And like, no, I understand, like, or like just like the Renaissance, or just living in a point of society where you had to do everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where we're very different
Yeah.
comparing back. It's just where you had people just got more gratification in doing basic things because they literally had to do it to survive.
Yeah, that was their purpose.
That was their purpose. Like, you need water, you fucking walk down to the well, you walk down to the river. That's like 2 miles there. You risk fucking bears, wherever you live. You know what I mean. You risk
whatever
wildlife is. The weather. You know what I mean. Bandits, marauders, if I use that word correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And then just like hunting, they cook their own food. Like they tended to the crops. Like you actually felt you had a purpose.
Yeah.
Today we don't have that.
Everyone's fucking depressed.
I didn't have that. Like, I'll be honest with you, I didn't have that. You know what I mean? Like, if you find, like, I didn't really think I had a sense of purpose yet, but then you realize like, you have to go find it.
Yeah, you definitely have to go find your purpose. Mm-hmm. And that's what do you call it? The problem is with today is, like, kids have no purpose, so they have hope in people, like Bernie Sanders or whatever. They have hope in people in politics saying that, I understand why you're sad, but these are older people who don't understand disconnection between the generations, because a guy like Bernie Sanders, right? His parents, did things like knit and sew, and they know how to fix a car and stuff like that. You ask the average, voter base, they don't know how to do none of those things, because we've been dependent on technology and the whole society. So the whole thing with cycles, it goes back to cycles. Like, everything's gonna collapse in on itself. The people are gonna become lazy, and this is the whole, the cycle. We just were born at the wrong time. We were born too late,
I agree, and I feel like it's just like sewing something I would like to do, like stitching something I would learn, like knitting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also, like, people chopped their own firewood. Like, they were cold, you had to make a fire.
Yeah, had to make a fire. Flint and everything.
You had to make your own weapons.
Yeah, to protect yourself.
Yeah. It's like you relied on yourself. You didn't really rely on anybody else, and I guess that's where.
Yeah. In other words, we have it too good.
Literally,
I have struggle.
I think kids today think when you're born in the world, like, people are supposed to love you.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone's supposed to love you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Like, some people by law are supposed to love you.
Yeah, by your parents. Your parents are supposed to love you. That's just a given.
It's just a given. But anybody else, like, no one's supposed to love you.
Yeah.
Like, no one's supposed to care about you.
Yeah.
Like, in a sense, like, if you're being, like, attacked, or you're in a situation where you need help, then obviously we're human, we're gonna care because we can relate to you, because that can happen to us.
That's the empathy.
That's the empathy.
Or is it sympathy? I get confused on which ones. Which
it's
one?
Both.
It's both.
Sympathy and
it's both in that situation.
Both in that situation.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that you have to take care of yourself. Like, no one's gonna do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I hold this very controversial.
Yo, Deli.
Yo.
It looks like you're wearing no pants, bro.
But I am wearing pants. Yo, what are you doing? Come over.
What? No, I'm with my girl right now. Now I'm on the Deli show.
You are on the Deli show.
What are we talking about today, Deli?
Oh my God, what are we talking about? I guess we're talking about how, like, kids today, how basically, like, people back then had to, like, rely on themselves to do everything. Like, if they wanted water, they had to go to the river. They had to hunt their own food. They had a sense of purpose because they were literally doing doing all the necessities.
Well, back when
Life.
society worked on a barter system, like you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Like you give me
Yeah,
3
basically
minutes,
what
I
it was,
give
basically
you
like that.
however much bread you want. I don't
Sugar
know.
or rice, or yeah, it
Oh,
was
look
like
at
that.
Josh.
What's good? What's
Josh
good?
is also on the Deli Show.
Who joined us? Who joined us? By the way,
This is Rojas.
Rojas. Oh, what's good, Rojas? What's good?
What up, bro?
Yeah, just chilling, going on philosophical fucking questions and shit, like why is this and that, like anarchy, right? We were just talking about anarchy. Does it truly exist if it's
Anarchy.
a natural cycle in how society runs? I think it is.
I don't know.
But do
This
you see
might
my
be
point though on
out of
that?
my
I do see, I do see where you're coming from for that, like the whole world of without authority. There won't be times of no authority. That's just human. That's just nature. You got all these kids, out here, posting stuff. It's like if you don't have, structure, all there is, cold hard nature. All there is, the wild, the jungle,
It is.